Hi, my name is Craig Collins, and welcome to the What the Warehouse show. With us on the line, we have Michael Pulgiano. He's from Prisco. Thanks for being here, Michael.
Thanks for having me.
Michael, tell us a bit about yourself. Where did you grow up, and how did you get started in the supply chain industry?
All right, so my name is Michael, obviously. I'm 28. I'm from New Jersey, central New Jersey. Grew up in a blue-collar family. My dad's a chef. My mom is naturally a little bit higher up in her role, but she had a high school diploma. So, we was always just trying to figure out what we had to do, kind of. And kind of fell into supply chain I started going back to school at like a little around 22, 23. At first I ventured into the restaurant industry, and it was hard work, but it gave me a lot of people skills. It gave me a lot of ability to read people, read situations and things like that. And started going back to school, took an economics class and loved it. And then started reading a little bit about more economics professions besides being an economist, and supply chain was kind of hand in hand with economics. And as I started getting into it a little bit more, I realized it was something that I really enjoyed, because it's kind of like somebody that's in supply chain is somebody that just knows how to put all the pieces together and likes to get things done.
Right. Yeah, I see from your profile you are sort of skewed towards the planning and purchasing side of supply chain, and we'll talk about a bit about that later. But before we get to that, just tell our viewers around the world what your company does. So give us the elevator pitch. What does Prisco do?
We are a high-tier supplier of chemicals and for press room manufacturing and offset printing. So we supply anything from sponges to chemicals to blankets to for printing presses, anything in between. We're very, very centralized in the press room for any operations that are happening with printing.
Right. And do you see business growth? And what's the business growth like over the last few years?
I wasn't with the company during COVID. I am a little bit newer to this position. I'm in my first year with this company. Okay. But since I've been here, growth has been sustained. The actual figures I don't know, but I know that it's been getting busier. I've talked to CFO, numbers are back to pre-COVID levels.
Right. That's very encouraging. And the printing industry as such is a fairly good indicator of where the general economy is headed. You sort of reflect what's happening in general economy because you're an add-on to so many other products.
Correct. Yeah, that's a nice indicator.
Now, what do you do at Prisco?
So I am the operations manager. So we have a few facilities. So I'm located at our headquarters. So anything that has to do with negotiation from a logistics side, from any type of rail, exports, imports, they all have to kind of go through me. We have a warehouse operation here as well, and a production that goes on as well. We have a larger production that goes down in North Carolina.
Right.
But we still have some production up here. New Jersey's kind of getting a little hard with a lot of their hazmat rules and regulations, where at North Carolina it's a little bit looser. So the majority of our stuff has been moved to that location.
Right. But your primary distribution warehouses are still in New Jersey?
Yeah, I would say we are number two in the grand scheme of all of our distribution. We have 8 distribution centers.
Right.
We have some in New Jersey. We have 2 in New Jersey, 3 in the Carolinas, Georgia, Los Angeles, California, Chicago, and Canada.
Right. Now, so the role that you play, obviously you're involved in the strategic sourcing of the distribution and logistics side. Do you also source or get involved in the sourcing of the products, the raw materials?
Can you repeat that?
do you get involved in the sourcing of the raw materials for your manufacturing operations?
Yeah, so we have a few suppliers. A lot of our raw materials we try to source domestically,
Okay.
as much as we possibly can. And for the most part, we have a good relationship with a lot of our vendors. But there's only a few. There's not too many suppliers of certain raw materials and commodities domestically. So I mean, it's only a handful of players that we really deal with.
Right. And then how many SKUs do you have? So, you know, in terms of finished goods products as well.
I'd say probably, I mean, anywhere I would say around up to 100.
Okay.
100, 150. You know, it also depends on what we're marketing for. And
Yes.
because we can do, I mean, it's with chemicals, you can make variations if they want something lower viscosity, higher viscosity, you know, and we can tailor it pretty much anything to that.
Right. And then what is your primary sort of packaging? Are you distributing in large drums and totes, or is it down to sort of
Anything, drums, totes, pails, gallons,
okay,
quarts.
right?
Yeah, quarts are the smallest variation that we sell, but we sell totes, we sell drums. Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, moving on to the operations itself, what keeps you up at night? What's your sort of biggest challenge?
Trying to make sure that we're seeing a price trend go down right now with commodities. So keeping vendors honest, you know, they're always quick to pass the next price increase on. But when they start seeing the decreases, you know, you kind of got to go back to them and say, hey, we're seeing this across the board. When are we going to start feeling the decrease as well? You know, and that's some things that keep you up, because you don't want to sell product at a higher price. You know, you want to be honest with your customers, and that's why you need to try to keep your suppliers honest.
Right. And then let's talk a bit about inventory accuracy. What's your inventory accuracy like in the warehouse operations?
It's getting better. It's not perfect, and I don't think it's ever going to be perfect, but it's getting a lot better. I've started trying to digitalize a little bit more here. We're still pretty manual. It's a manual process. But
what systems do you run? Do you have any a warehouse system or what accounting system?
We have no WMS as of right now. We do have a mainframe. It's a little bit older. It's IBM software. It's AS400.
Right.
So there's a lot of that, but we are developing right now WMS just to try to digitalize our warehouse, try and increase some efficiencies, improve accuracy. But I would say for the most part, I mean, our inventory, we do quarterly audits on our own inventory, internal audits, you know, counting. We'll take a day and we'll count everything, you know, and get all the warehouse guys to start counting. Okay. But I would say for the most part, yeah, we're not, what we think we have in inventory is what we have in inventory.
Right. And do you have barcoding products at all?
No.
Right.
This is a part of our digitalization.
Of course. I will chat about that. And then tell me about your customer returns processes. Do you have a lot of returns?
No, not that I have seen. Most of the time, if it's a return, it would be a double ship or something along those lines. You know, it's never really a quality issue or something like that where it makes us look bad. It's more a miscommunication from the customer to us or us to the customer. You know, it has nothing catastrophic. Right.
And so the AS400 system that you run, that runs countrywide, right? So everyone's running an operation. Okay.
Yes.
And the digitalization project that you're working on, is that also countrywide, or are you focusing on one operation?
Well, we started here. Our IT team is here in our New Jersey facility.
Right.
I figured this was probably the best place to start it. You know, if we need answers, I can go and walk instead of having to send an email or call.
Yeah.
So we start small, and then once we get the Kingspark project rolling, you know, and checking the revisions, then we'll start rolling it out to the other spots.
And then tell me, how big is the warehouse in New Jersey?
It's probably about it's not too large, probably about 3,000 square feet, 4,000 square feet.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So
We have two though.
right.
So our small, the larger one where we store like most of the raw material and everything, I said probably around 10,000 square feet.
Right. And those are both in New York, right?
Newark.
Yeah,
So
New
it's
York.
right outside of New Jersey, or excuse me, New York City.
Yeah,
By
yeah,
about 30 minutes.
yeah. No, I know New York. I pronounce it badly.
No worries. No, yeah.
My accent is South African, as you well know. Um, so, just in case our audience want to sort of find you, what's the best way for us to get information about your company, and how could they reach you?
You could give me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I don't have really other social media. It's just not something I like to get into. I have Twitter, but that's mainly for my card hobby, baseball card collecting side. So,
Okay.
But yeah, LinkedIn, Michael Pulgiano.
Right.
We also have Prisco. Prisco Inc. is online as well.
Right. So, what's the part of supply chain that's most exciting to you?
I think supply chain for me is just, I don't claim to be a mathematician. I don't claim to be a Nobel like engineer or like anything above my pay grade. I think supply chain is just really somebody that like will put the boots on the ground, get things done, and be able to understand the whole scope of the project and be able to tie it together in a sense like a project manager, but for commodities.
Right. Yeah. It's amazing. Over the years, I've spent so much time in sort of the different or communicating with people who are specialists in the different areas of supply chain. And it's such a vast field. And a lot of the time, especially when you initially think about supply chain, people think only about procurement. And then they may have a layer of planning, but there's so much more to it, right down to logistics planning, to the final delivery of to the customer. So it's an amazingly big field, and people really don't understand how important it is to economy and to companies.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we can see how the economy is rolling or running at real time because we're dealing with commodities at the very base level. So their prices are much more volatile than I would say like semiconductors. We know semiconductors are going up and it's a tight shortage. It's loosening up now. With all these plans for chip manufacturers, fabrication is being made in America. It's a little bit more coming back domestically for us.
Yeah.
But for us, for the commodities aspect, this is pretty much real time economics and and what the world's shaping up to be.
Yeah. And then you layer shipping prices and import prices on top of that, right. And you've got a really, really interesting view of what's happening in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Container, just the smallest thing is buying containers, how expensive they are, and prices, how they've gone up and down over the past few years. Container I think 2-3 years ago, 1,600. Now we're at 3,500, $4,000 for a container. It's what it is. Yeah,
exactly. And in fact, that's gone down in price from sort of mid-COVID. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. Is there anything else that you would like to sort of ask or cover?
I was just kind of open to
anything,
any type of conversation.
This show is all about meeting the people on the ground in supply chain, understanding what people's pains are, and what people are doing. So, that's a great conversation. And we do want to keep these quite short because they are intros. So that pretty much wraps up what I wanted to cover with you today. And I'd love to have an extended conversation with you at some time. So thanks very much for coming on board and for having a chat with me.
I appreciate you having me.
Thank you everyone for tuning in to the What the Well show. And if you'd like more information on Prisco, take a look at their website, as well as go and hit Michael up on LinkedIn. And if you'd like any more information on granite, our primary product, then take a look at our website, granitewms.com. Thank you very much, everyone.